All right, so here's an update on the garden. There's some weeds here, but a lot of the wildflowers are coming up and are really happy. I'm excited for them to hopefully keep taking off as the weather gets warm. One of my ageratums is starting to bud, so I'm really excited about that, and these look much better since I planted them in the ground. Same with my cosmos, look much better, or not cosmos, poppies look much better since moving them out of their pot. The really hard rain has been hard on my roses, but we still have some that are really gorgeous, and I think they'll keep blooming. There's some more buds. Over here, my Rose of Sharon got a whole bunch of leaves while I was gone camping. And these irises that I planted look pretty good. Maybe that columbine will come back, and this one looks pretty good. So this way, these alliums have been done for a couple weeks, but I really like how they look even without all of the petals. This weed is a little out of control. I don't know what these are. I think they're either a mallow or a mosswort, but they're really pretty. They just don't like to stay standing. There's one fallen over there. And this Oregon checker bloom is almost done blooming, but it was really pretty while it lasted. Let's see if I can find a raspberry. They're starting to form berries, so that's very exciting. Oh, here we go. Here's some. So those should be red in a couple of weeks. The violas are still doing pretty good. The strawberries have really started to take off. There's a whole bunch of red ones, and they're starting to throw runners. I haven't decided if I'm going to try to plant them, the runners, or if I'm just going to cut them so they'll focus on making more berries. My lemon tree has started to form some new leaves, which is good because I thought that it was not going to make it after dropping all the leaves on these lower branches, but even down here it's starting to make some new leaves, which is pretty exciting. And I even have a lemon blossom, so maybe this winter I'll get some lemons. Last winter I got one or two little lemons, but I cut them off to let the tree situate itself on year one. This is a Cosmo, so I'm hoping, I planted a whole bunch of Cosmos in this area, but only a few of the seeds germinated, so I'm hoping that those will be pretty anyway. My lavender is just starting to bud, but it's really pretty. These peonies also took some damage in the rain, but they're really pretty. They have a little bit of pink and a really bright yellow center, which is cool. These lavenders are blooming a little bit slower because this area is really shady, so I'm impressed that they're doing well at all. This is a fuchsia that I don't think was hardy, but I think it's trying to come back. And same with this is the fuchsia, so we'll see if we get any blooms off of those. Here, I don't know what kind of hydrangea this is, but it was because it was here before I started gardening here, but it's starting to bloom. It looks like it's gonna be blue this year. And then this blue star creeper is starting to bloom too, or has been budding for a few days. The alyssum is starting to slow down, but hopefully it'll start blooming again. Same with the bleeding hearts. They're got a few buds, but not, or a few blossoms, but not a whole bunch. So we'll go into the garden now. Ugh, I love the strawberries. They're so red. There's so many. I'm picking like a couple pints a day. So over here where I have all of my herbs, so this is Tulsi basil. It's doing okay. I think it's supposed to flower before you eat it, but I've never had it before, so I'm not 100% sure. Some mint, and I forget what this is called. Oh, trailing labella. So I'm hoping that those will kind of waterfall over the edge and be really pretty. My catmint got laid in by something, but it looks like it's making an okay recovery. That stuff is super prolific, so I'm not too worried. These strawberries too, so many red ones, so happy. Here's my little thyme blooms and the chives. The chives had one bloom, but I'm hoping they'll bloom some more because that's kind of why I'm growing it. But the thyme is really filling out that box nicely. This is spinach. It's done. It's starting to bolt. So it's gonna come out this week while I have some time. These are all carrots. I don't think they'll be ready for a while, but some of them are getting really pretty red on them. So I don't know if it's the variety. I've never had this much success with growing carrots, so I'll have to learn along the way. Back here behind the catmint, I have some nasturtiums that also took some damage in the rain, the little flowers, but I have one here. This is a dwarf peach tree. It only gets 4 feet tall, and it was really bushy, but since I've potted it, it started to send up these big tall shoots, so that makes me excited. And I've found a couple, oh, there's one, a couple of peaches on it. Let's see if I can show you. Oh, a couple of earwigs. There's a peach right there. Ooh, I don't like earwigs. And then this is a currant bush that I need to put in the ground. It's still in the pot it came in. Here's my sugar snap peas. They're just everywhere. They have to be harvested today, but they're really big and plump. I really need to deadhead my hanging baskets. They're not in the best shape right now because of all of the really heavy rainfall we've been getting. Here's a Persian cucumber. I planted with like the risk that it would be too cold for it, and it hasn't grown a whole bunch since I planted it, so we'll see. These are red yard-long beans. They're doing okay. I had some poor germination. I planted this whole row and it didn't all come up, but I'm debating about whether to plant some more or buy something from the farmer's market that's already started. These are my purple bunching beans, purple bunching onions, or purple green onion. These ones that are totally shaded are doing better than these ones that are exposed, which I wasn't expecting. Here's all my romaine lettuce. It's got to start coming out because it's just getting completely destroyed by slugs, and it's enjoying the cool weather. It's not bolting, but it's not enjoying the really, really wet weather. Here's all my purple snow peas. They're really gorgeous. There's some like this one that are like green and purple, and I really like those, and they taste just like the green snow peas. I think I'll only grow these in the future, not the green ones. Here I planted zinnia seeds. They're not coming up. I'm trying to decide if I want to try to start some in pots and then transplant them, or wait and buy some from the farmer's market, or hope the seeds come up. I've sown them twice now. I think it's just not warm enough. It's been a really weird spring here. On this side of the trellis, next to the sugar snap peas, I have green yard-long beans. They're getting really, really bullied by something. So I think it's slugs. Here's the culprit. So I don't know if they're gonna make it, but I'm hopeful. And then here I have some borage coming up. It's really dirty from a really heavy downpour that we had earlier today. Here's one of the other strawberry towers, it's just totally full of strawberries. I have to harvest them today. Some of them are getting eaten by slugs, my arch nemesis. This is a huckleberry bush that I need to find a spot for. This is my chamomile. I've already harvested and dried like almost a pint or almost 2 pints. I forget how big the jars I used are of this, and it's going to bloom the whole summer. So I'm going to be drowning in chamomile tea, literally. But I harvested most of these purple snow peas yesterday, and there's still so many on the bush. So they're really happy here. My Merlot lettuce is also doing super well. I think I'm gonna have to harvest and gift a lot of it because it's getting eaten by slugs just like everything else. And this is kind of what's happening to my lettuce in the rain. Like, I think it's been warm enough that it's starting to want to bolt. See, it's not creating a head, it's instead going up on this stem. And then a lot of the leaves are just mushy and not super great. So those ones that are ended up under the snow peas a little bit look like this, but the ones farther this way have been really nice heads. So I'm going to try to harvest those and eat what I can and maybe leave these. But I wasn't expecting this to last as long, so we'll see. Here's my cilantro that's trying to bolt. It is not happy where it is. I bought another cilantro plant to replace it. Here's strawberry tower number 3. Some of my strawberries are just rotting before they're harvestable. I don't know what's up with that. Rotting on the plant. And then here's my green snow peas. They're much taller than my purple snow peas. They're probably like 7, almost 8 feet tall at this point. And these purple snow peas, which are in a box, are maybe only 3 feet tall. So it's interesting because the soil in my box is much better than the soil in the ground. So it's interesting that they're growing this way, but they're just regular snow peas. And they're great too, but the purple ones are easier to see. But these are definitely growing a little bit better, more up, less out. I feel like I planted them the same amount of thickness and they look super different. So it's been interesting to see how that's panned out. We'll go up here first. So here's my broccoli. This is probably the best my broccoli's ever done, just because I haven't been fighting with the heat and I haven't been fighting with the cabbage moths as much because it hasn't been hot. Clearly, they're still finding plenty to munch on, and there's also a slug problem with the broccoli, so hard to say if that's slug or cabbage moth damage. They're gonna come out soon and get replaced with other stuff because they're not gonna like the summer heat. So many red strawberries. I planted these tall sunflowers. I don't know how tall they're gonna get. I also planted some sunflower seeds in between some of them of a variety I really like. None of them have come up yet, I think because it's been too cold, so we'll see. Here's my upper row of tomatoes. I'm starting to get some flowers, but as far as I know, I don't have any fruit set yet. And here I think I have some overhead herbicide damage. I don't know if this plant's gonna make it, or this plant. I think it's from a neighbor spraying, because I don't spray, but it's the chances you take in an urban garden. But most of the tomatoes in this row are still doing okay. I have to get the stakes in because they're starting to be a little bit too tall to support themselves straight up. Here's all the sunflowers, whole bunch of strawberries I'm gonna harvest today. This area just gets super wet and muddy whenever it's raining, so it struggles. I planted some Black-eyed Susans here, I think it's just very wet and they're not having a great time. So I might try to work on those a little bit, but I don't know if they're gonna survive. Maybe when it dries out. Hopefully it's gonna be dry next week. And these are sweet peas. Again, super dry. Ugh, a slug. And I don't think these trellises are great for climbing on. I put them here in the hopes that maybe something would climb up it, but I don't think anything except maybe my trumpet vine weeds are gonna go up it. Here's my peach tree. It needs a stake because it's getting too heavy with all of its fruits. But they are starting to blush, which is super exciting. I should probably cull some of the fruit because I don't think it's supposed to support this many its first year, but I can't help myself. It is throwing some of its own fruit on the ground though, so we'll just see how it goes. We'll come this way next, and then we'll go back through the center of the garden. So my onions have toppled over, I think from being too wet. I'm hoping that when it dries out next week, they're gonna shoot up and be totally fine, but maybe I don't have a super great onion harvest. What did I plant over here? I think these are butternut squash, if I'm remembering correctly. These are zucchini. I'm starting to get blueberries. They're not quite ripe yet, but they're coming. Blueberries are very hard for me to grow. But they're doing much better here than when I had them where the tomatoes are last year. And I'm of course fighting with vines of all kinds taking over, so now that I'm not schooling, I have to work on that some. Oh, this is a zucchini. This is a yellow crookneck squash. I misspoke there. This I think is a spaghetti squash. This one and this one both. And then over here, all of my shade plants are doing pretty fine. Ooh, I have to plant my yarrow because it was doing better than that last I checked on it. These were doing better. These were shade seeds that I spread here. I might have to replant them. This week was brutal with the rain. Hostas, this fern, oh my, this fern is throwing out big stems. Solomon's seal. This is gonna have really big cone-shaped hydrangea buds, blooms, which I think will be really pretty. It's supposed to be 6 feet, so I'm hoping it'll fill this corner and be really nice. These strawberries are finally starting to set fruit. These strawberries that I left because they wanted to grow in the rocks and I wasn't gonna plant anything, so I left them. There's probably 25 plants there. So we'll come back this way. The ground is so saturated in water. So this is a determinate tomato. It's just been super wet. I pulled it up and planted it higher because this area is basically a pool when it's raining. It just does not drain here very well at all. So I don't know if that tomato is going to make it, but I'm hopeful. Oh, it's time to start tying up these tomatoes because they're starting to fall over. These are cherry tomatoes. No fruit set yet, but starting to get some flowers. So here's this whole row of tomatoes. Oh, are these fruit set? Nope, just flowers. But I have to come through and do some pruning and maybe start tying some up. And then these peppers I planted with a little bit of a risk because it wasn't super warm. But they seem to be doing okay. They haven't really taken off and growing, but they are starting to set, a couple of them are starting to set flowers. This is a bell pepper. So we'll see how they do. This is a pineapple tomatillo or pineapple ground cherry. Oh, it's starting to set little flowers. And then this is a purple tomatillo and a green tomatillo. They have flowers. They've grown a ton since I planted them. They're super happy. Tomatillos always tend to do pretty well for me. But I haven't had them ripen fully before, so I'm hopeful this summer maybe I will get that. Here, these are blue Adirondack potatoes, and I believe they're blue flesh and skin, so they're one of my favorites. I like to harvest them when they're little. And then these are Yukon Gold potatoes. They're doing really great. I went camping for a week and now they're a foot taller. So they're very happy in this space. I don't think they like the super hot sun, so this weather and this placement of getting afternoon shade has been great for them. I think that's just about it. I have a lot of weeding, harvesting to do, but I'm very excited to see how it'll be different next week after having some sun. It's supposed to rain the rest of this weekend and then be sunny. Oh, and maybe next week I have some sweet potato slips that I'm starting that will hopefully go there. Oh, and this last thing I forgot to share. My clematis has been blooming. It's obviously taking some damage from the rain even under this tree, but it still has some really pretty flowers. And this hydrangea is starting to bud up. So yeah, I'll see you next week.